Alright, hello everybody. I'm just back. I'm going to do another video review, but it's not going to be for a musical album, because there's been nothing that really has come out for metal or for rock since Black Sabbath 13 came out, besides Queens of the Stone Age, but I'm not a big fan of them, whatever. I'll probably go listen to it and maybe do a review, but I'll probably just leave that alone. And I'll probably wait for Avenged Sevenfold to release a single from their new album, Hail to the King. But I actually went and saw a movie last night. It's already been screening for a week, and the reviews for it were kind of up and down. And since there's nothing else to really review right now, and I want to get some videos on my channel, I'm going to review this movie because I thought it was a really good movie. The main star is Brad Pitt, and the movie's called World War Z or World War Z. It's based on a novel of people that were writing in a book, or writing in books of their, or diaries, I guess you could call it, of their stories from World War Z, which is actually a war of zombies versus humans. And I'm not going to spoil the movie for you, but there may be a couple spoiler alerts, and if there are, I will speak of it ahead of time. So if you haven't seen the movie yet and you're planning on going to see the movie, I'll tell you so you can get out of the video or whatever. But there may be a couple, so maybe if you don't want to watch this, you don't have to. But my review is basically this. I have to rate the movie at probably about a 7.5 or a 10, or sorry, an 8 out of 10. The movie was pretty good. I actually liked it. Now Brad Pitt, I mean, he's had a couple movies that I really like to watch, and I really like to watch movies like Mr. and Mrs. Smith. I thought was a really good movie. He kind of reminds me a lot of Leonardo DiCaprio for this type of role he plays in the action comedy drama kind of fit, and I kind of get them mixed up sometimes even. But Brad Pitt did a really good job in this movie, and I thought the movie started out right away where it only had a few minutes, where it's kind of opening the story. It kind of reminded me a lot of I Am a Legend at the beginning. It actually kind of seemed like they ripped it off a little bit, but I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. Moving on, I thought that the movie was, it was an overall solid beginning. I thought the effects in the movie were actually really well done. I thought that the zombies were actually really well portrayed, and I thought they moved the way they should. And there was a couple points in the theater where you actually got laughs out of the audience for how the zombies reacted. And I mean, like, that's actually realistic to say, because the zombies are actually just supposed to be the living dead, and they don't have any living tissue in them or anything, and their brains are dead. Then it kind of makes sense that they're not going to be exactly humanoid, and they're not going to be able to walk around like in warm bodies, how they change back into human. That was just the stupidest premise, and that's trying to take zombies and ruining them. The same way that Twilight ruined werewolves, and the same way Twilight ruined vampires. I cannot believe that they're actually trying to do this to another monster from all the way back from the 1800s. That it's just dumb, and they should really just keep it the way it is, because it's a lot more awesome if you think of it as living dead. We're gonna eat your brains. It's just classic. Call of Duty's made it the biggest thing. Call of Duty's made it the biggest thing, and ever since I think 2009, zombies has been like the #1 horror topic. That and possession and whatnot, but I'm not a big fan of that. But the family that plays Brad Pitt's family, I thought they all did a really good job. I thought they played their roles just the way they should. And the main girl that he meets, spoiler, she's just some girl that's over in Israel. And when he goes to Israel, I'm not going to tell you why he goes to Israel. I'm not going to tell you anything. It's not that much of a spoiler. But he meets an army soldier and has to cut off her hand because she gets bit by a zombie in the hand. And whether she gets turned or not, I'm not going to tell you. But he and she are together for a bit in that movie. And actually, she did a really well job. And I thought the effects in this movie were overall pretty solid. I thought there wasn't any really issues with the effects either. Like, I mean, there's a part where a plane gets blown up and whatever, and they really used guns, like, to the point where it's like, okay, that's cool, and it wasn't unrealistic that it's like two soldiers shooting at a big horde of 100 zombies, and the two soldiers can wipe them all out and save all of the city. No, it was, they're going to fire full rounds into these zombies, and they're going to take out 4 zombies, and the zombies are going to catch up and kill them, because that's the realistic way to say it, that you're not going to mow down a bunch of bodies just because they're living dead and they're not human. Next off, I thought the ending was rough, but it was actually really well done at the same time. Now, I read an interview that said there was going to be a sequel to this movie, and that sequel came out after Brad Pitt said he wanted an action trilogy, and this wasn't supposed to be a complete action movie, but they are actually going to release a single because of the success of this movie in the opening weekend. In the opening week, they are going to record a sequel, but they actually had to redo the ending because they went way over budget in the movie, and they did not get enough. They did not have enough money from the loan to be able to actually film the ending, so they had to redo the ending. And I thought the story was really cool, but I also thought it was really confusing because I'm not going to spoil anything for you here. But I thought it was really confusing, just the way that they're trying to make a solution for the problem. It seemed like they were just causing a bigger problem, but I guess we're gonna see more of it in the sequel. And I thought the end of the movie pretty good, and I'll definitely be going to see the sequel in theaters because the sequel looked pretty promising as well. But overall, I just thought this movie was really good. 7.5 or an 8, somewhere in between. There's some people that are rating the movie down at a 6. There's some people that are rating it at 7. But really, the voting all really varies from 6 all the way up to 9. I don't think anyone's giving it a 10. Obviously, there's the really big zombie or Brad Pitt fans that are going to be fanboys about it. But I mean, in all realisticness, someone that just wants to watch a good movie, I think you'd have to put it in between 6 and 9. It's not worth a 10. It's not that great of a movie. It's not as good to me as I thought The Dark Knight was, or I don't know, The Avengers, or even the new Spider-Man or Ted or something like that, and just some movies in the past 2 years that were really good movies. I didn't think that it was that good, but overall, I haven't seen a zombie movie that was portrayed as well as this movie. I understand that there's going to be a lot of other zombie movies that are really good, but I haven't seen a zombie movie that could actually be portrayed in the sense of this way. Like, I thought the premise of this movie and the story behind this movie was the best zombie story that I ever heard of. I thought it was really cool, and I thought they did a really good job how the movie's based off like people that made diary entries and wrote pages and books and stuff about World War Z. And I thought this was the best portrayed story. I thought the story was really portrayed well on film. I haven't read the book. Now, there's a lot of people that say the book's really good, and there's a lot of people that actually say, if you've read the book out there, it's not a spoiler alert, but if you've read the book out there, I've actually heard from a few people that after you read the book, and then you go on to watch the movie, the book and the movie line up in certain parts where it thinks it's gonna attach together and for this really big thing, but then they didn't actually do the big thing that you thought they would put in the movie, so it actually is kind of a disappointment. And that person said it was a really good movie, and it was a really good movie. But it's like Harry Potter, how the books are so good, and anyone that's read the books, anyone that can handle reading, the movies go nowhere near that, even for how good those movies were. The movies go nowhere near that. I don't read. I watch the movies. I get enough out of the movies. I miss a lot of backstory. I miss a lot of extras. But I mean, I want to sit there and watch a 2-hour movie, not spend a bunch of time reading a book. So that's basically it. And I would have to say World War Z is definitely a recommended movie. Z or Z, sorry, I keep saying other, whatever, wherever you're watching this, America or Canada, doesn't matter. It is definitely a watchable movie. It is definitely a good movie. I mean, it's not a movie where you're going to go in there and you're going to say, I didn't waste my money. It was an okay movie. You're going to go in there and say, that was definitely worth the money that I spent, because it is a really good movie and it was really great to see. If you can see it in 3D, I recommend you see it in 3D. There's a bit of 3D action in the movie. But of course, that was actually the first 3D movie I've ever seen, so I can't really compare it to anything else. So you may want to go to someone else that sees a lot of 3D movies for that. But overall, it's a very good movie. It is definitely worth the money, and it really looks good for Brad Pitt if there's going to be a trilogy from this movie.